AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's rock!
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Decision Critical, Concierge Nursing. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
And Mr. Toby Tom Plate. We're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Bill Bender of the Sporting News will be here in 15 minutes. We'll have Lee Sterling later this hour. Looking forward to that conversation as, of course, Lee was 4-1 again last week on his picks, his best bets. So we'll see what Lee has lined up for this week. We'll get to Jay Phillips, does radio in Columbia, South Carolina. He'll be with us in hour number 3, talk a little bit about the Gamecocks, and we will also have Mike Triplett in hour 3 as well. So excited about that as we move forward. Okay, it's after further review, and we're glad you're hanging out with us here. The LSU South Carolina participation report, the initial participation report, was released on Wednesday night, and it was a lot of really what we expected that it was going to be. I guess the notables would be for LSU that Aaron Anderson is questionable. Ahmad Bro is a new name on there. It doesn't list his injury designation, like what the injury is, only that he's probable, along with Caden Durham. We do not see Garrett Nussmeier. We do not see Weston Davis. I mean, they're good to go. The Aaron Anderson questionable is one obviously worth watching. And then Paul Mubenga is doubtful. And I think that continues to maybe be, that continues to be the most significant name here because you're talking about your starting left guard going into this game against a South Carolina defensive front that, quite honestly, has been pretty good. I mean, that's the one area on South Carolina where in a season where they've struggled out the gate, they've not been very good. They are good on their defensive front, and LSU's weakness has been its offensive line. So what does LSU do in potentially replacing Paul Mubenga if he can't go? I think is going to be a pretty fascinating story here. And you got 3 options, and you know what they are. We've run through them a bunch. But your 3 options, number 1 would be obviously Cohen Eccles. And while Paul Mubenga has been your starter at left guard, he's played 220 snaps, all 220 at left guard. Cohen Eccles has played 149 snaps, all of them at left guard. So you're talking about 2 guys that have rotated pretty interchangeably here at the left guard spot. Like if you look at Eccles' game-by-game snap counts, against Clemson he played 12 snaps, against Tech 26, against Florida 16, Southeastern he played 61. Of course, LSU blew him out. He played the whole second half. And then against Ole Miss, when Mubenga went down, he ended up playing the rest of the game, played 34 snaps against Ole Miss. So you're talking about a guy in Eccles that's played a good bit at left guard. So that's one option. The other would be DJ Chester. And Chester, as Brian Kelly has said repeatedly, is kind of your 6th man, right? The opening game against Clemson when Tyree Adams went down at left tackle, Chester went in and played left tackle. When Braylon Moore went down after the first snap against Louisiana Tech, Chester went in and played center the rest of the game. No matter what spot it is on the line, we've seen him rotate at that left guard spot. We've seen him take reps at right tackle. So Chester has been a really versatile guy that's played a lot of football, and he could very well be maybe that guy that rotates in. But I think that the most intriguing prospect potentially there on the offensive line at left guard, an option, is Karius Kern. And he's a guy we've talked a bunch about. You know we've talked about him a bunch because he's a 5-star. He comes in as an early enrollee. He's here for spring. He's worked almost exclusively at left tackle. Late in fall camp, he starts taking reps with the ones at right tackle. And then for me, I always say actions speak louder than words. What happened against Ole Miss, I think, was kind of the telltale, where you didn't have Chester available in the first half because of the targeting penalty. And then the second half begins, and Chester's available, and you stick with Kern. On Monday at his press conference, I asked Brian Kelly why, at the start of the second half, didn't they go with Chester, and why did they stick with Kern at right tackle?
Because what we saw in the first half, essentially, I think if there were major issues, Matt, Brad and I would have probably made a decision there to make the change. But we felt like Karius was giving us good energy. He was protecting our edge really well in the passing game. There were a couple of mistakes inside out, which we expected that was going to happen. But by and large, we felt like let's let the young guy play. And that was kind of our sense.
I'm getting a lot. And by the way, I may be dead wrong. Just very clearly, I may be dead wrong. My intuition is I'm getting a lot of 2022 vibes. And Brian Kelly, his entire career, I'm not just talking about LSU, I'm talking his entire career, has pumped offensive linemen and tight ends into the NFL at a better clip than any other position. He had more tight ends drafted during his decade at Notre Dame than LSU had from 1980 to the day he showed up in Baton Rouge. Like, the guy knows and values that position, how to recruit, develop those positions. And that opening game of the Brian Kelly era against Florida State was such a disaster. Remember, you had Dellinger at center. You had Frazier at right tackle. You had freshman Will Campbell at left tackle. Well, ultimately, he ends up shuffling the deck. Frazier moves to guard. They insert Emory Jones at right tackle week 3. They move Dellinger to guard. They move Charles Turner in at center. He didn't stand pat. And I kind of get the sense that he's looking at this unit going, all right, these were the 5 coming out of camp we went with, thinking these were our best 5, and these may not be the best 5. That's why you've seen the rotation at left guard with Eccles getting in there. That's why you saw Kern take reps at right tackle. And they may be looking at a spot for Karius Kern to get him, thinking he's one of their best 5. As a matter of fact, on the SEC coaches teleconference on Wednesday, Brian Kelly on that teleconference was asked about, how he decides to shuffle an offensive line midseason.
We've got a couple of young players. When is the right time to insert them? And I think for us, and for me in particular, inserting a young player into the lineup is when you know that one play is not going to affect his second or third or fourth or fifth play. And so emotional maturity is really, really important. We were able to play 2 freshmen here early in my career because they had emotional stability. And so gauging that with consistency in making sure that they know what they're doing every snap. I'm okay with a mistake or 2 from some young players. What I can't have is catastrophic mistakes. So that's the evaluation process, really, in terms of when we may insert somebody into the lineup midseason.
By the way, in 3 games played for Karius Kern, he has not committed a penalty. And his best pass blocking grade was against Ole Miss with an 80.3. I think you're seeing a young guy who's physically better than probably everybody else that you have at that position, growing up exponentially and rapidly. And it may come to pass. It may not be this week, but he's 6'5", 320. He's super athletic, and he plays with a mean streak. It may come to pass that you just realize, look, he's one of our best 5. You got to find a place to put him out there. That may start this weekend against South Carolina. It may not. Like, they may roll with Eccles because Eccles has primarily been your left guard rotating there with Mubenga. That may make the most sense. But the more the season goes along, it sure feels like they're going to find a way to get Kern in there in a more regular clip. Maybe it's this weekend. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Supper Club. SupperClubBTR.com. SupperClubBTR.com. Thursday. What a way to start the weekend. What a way to start the weekend by getting by Supper Club. Don't have a reservation? Don't worry. Open seating at the bar, the 14 bar stools, the 7 bar tables. You can always just first come, first served in the bar area. Certainly you could always call over or go on the website, supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com. See if you get a reservation. Maybe get lucky. Great spot Saturday as well. You want to go during the game. Look, it's in a sports bar. They don't have TVs everywhere, but they do have a 100-inch projector in the lounge next to the bar, where if you're in that bar area, you can see the game. So instead of eating greasy bar food, why don't you go eat a delicious steak from Supper Club? Let's go. Supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com. They got what a time, too, because Chef Layton texted me yesterday. They got a Sagrera cow in yesterday. So you want the cream of the crop, the best cuts. Now's the time. Supperclubbtr.com. Go tonight. Supperclubbtr.com. All right, it's after further review. We are brought to you by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing here in Baton Rouge and all over the state of Louisiana, and soon coming to Texas. They're about to open up their office in Dallas-Fort Worth. Excited to tell you more about that. The expansion Blasian, our team, has had has been nothing short of incredible, and it's so worth it. The amazing service they provide, no matter if it's from birth to end-of-life care and everything in between. It's not just healthcare, it's healthcare for your lifestyle at Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. All right, let's not get a quick break, y'all. Bill Bender of the Sporting News will be here next. Big weekend in college football. Bill, based out of Columbus, covers the Big Ten, certainly centralized there in the Big Ten's big weekend for that league. We'll get into all of that with Bill Bender as we continue on AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Duplessis Builders, duplessisbuilders.net. Hey, get to the website. I really want you to check this out. If you've ever thought of building a pool, Duplessis Builders certainly can build your custom dream pool. Duplessisbuilders.net. They do that. They do better than anyone. But Duplessis Builders also has a tab on the homepage where right when you go to the homepage, it says Build Your Dream Pool. You hit that tab, and there are so many different models that you can choose from. I mean, they have 10 different models that you can choose from where you can build your pool and design it right there on the website. And there's a price point for every budget. Oh, you want to build the resort-style pool at your home and go all out? You can do that. Duplessis will build you a beautiful pool that'll last. But maybe you want something a little smaller, a little more boutique. They got it for you as well, for any budget. DuplessisBuilders.net. Check them out online, DuplessisBuilders.net.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at DecisionCriticalVR.com.
Been already into week 7 of the college football season. Bill Bender, Sporting News, good enough to join us here for a couple of minutes. Bill, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. Yeah, week 7. I can't believe it.
Is there a team through 7 weeks that you can definitively say you think is the best in college football? Not that they're going to win a championship, but through 7 weeks, that's maybe been the most impressive for you?
Well, the answer is either Ohio State or Miami. Miami probably has a better collection of wins, going through South Florida, winning the state championship and having Mario say state champs after that. They're good on both sides of the ball in the trenches. And, if I'd pick Ohio State to win, though. That defense we're getting on the border of calling it historically good.
That's going to be an interesting one this weekend there in Seba. So I guess it'll actually be in Champaign. But Ohio State against Illinois, that's a big number there. And I know we watched Illinois get absolutely waxed by Indiana. Do you think that was a weird one-off, Bill, or has Illinois really got some issues that are being exposed?
I think they'll show up for this game, and it won't be as bad as the Indiana game. It's at home. Your back's against the wall. They have a history of weird games against Ohio State. The Buckeyes will be tested here, probably even more so than the Washington game, I think, in some ways. Do you know what the Illabuck is? That's what they play for. I've been educating people all week.
No, I would love to know.
They play for that looks like a turtle. Big Ten country. We play for some weird trophies.
Yeah.
They put the score on it. Go ahead and Google it on your own time, but it's a weird one.
Illabuck. ILLABUCK, huh?
ILLI B-U-C-K.
Oh, yeah. Illabucca. There he is. Look at that guy. All right. Yeah, look, I mean, this is what we do here. We bring new information to light, and we educate our audience. It's why we had to have Bill here. The Illabucca. Like, do they have is that the, oh my God, are those like the results on the back of the trophy?
There are multiple Illabucks.
I was going to say, how would they fit? How would they fit?
There's a lot of them. And so there are some strange and unusual trophies in the Big Ten. There are some very cool ones, like, the Floyd, the Pig, and the Paul Bunyan Trophy. But that one gets underrated because Illinois and Ohio State, honestly, they don't play every year anymore.
Well, teams that haven't played very often in their history are teams that we would not expect would be a top 10 matchup. But here we are with 7th-ranked Indiana going to Eugene to take on 3rd-ranked Oregon. What should we be watching in this one, Bill?
The defenses, both of them. Oregon's really good on D, especially in the trenches. Again, Mateo Uwangalele is a very good player. Dylan Thieneman's added to the secondary. They've mixed guys they recruited and guys they got in the portal. And then Indiana has a ton of tackles for loss. So they can create negative plays. And for Dante Moore and Fernando Mendoza, we didn't have them in the top 5 in the Heisman race. Yeah. But both guys have played so well that I think it's going to be a very exciting game. My editor, Bill Troche, told me today, Indiana's the last Big Ten team to win at Oregon, and it was in 2003.
2003. I'm trying to wrap my head around that season. I mean, that was the year LSU won the BCS, beating Oklahoma. I'm trying to remember what Oregon was doing in 2003. I mean, was that Bellotti?
Kellen Clemens was the quarterback, and he went on to the Jets. And I laughed when I got to Matt LaVecchio was Indiana's quarterback. He played a little bit at Notre Dame before that. So, point being, this with the Big Ten, however they figure out, they can't complain about it because it's what they signed up for. But particularly for the traditional Big Ten schools going west, it's been a problem. So whether you're so Indiana, Michigan on the spot this weekend, going to the Coliseum.
It's so interesting, Bill, just the time zone travels, and that's been certainly an angle that sports bettors have played. But look at Penn State going to play this past weekend against UCLA. Off an emotional loss, then you have to travel 3 time zones to play in front of friends and family. And then, lo and behold, 18, 19, and 20-year-olds behave like 18, 19, and 20-year-olds, and you get clipped by a team you shouldn't. That is fascinating. Is there a team in the Big Ten? Look, I think everyone obviously is having conversations about Ohio State, Oregon, and I guess by default Indiana as well. Is there a team maybe lurking in the Big Ten that you think could be a contender that people aren't paying enough attention to?
It's a big moment for Michigan and USC. The winner, if Michigan can go out there and win, their schedule looks pretty set up that they should be 10-1 when they play Ohio State. And then if USC wins and they can split with Oregon and Notre Dame somehow, they would be a 10-win team. So I think the winner of that game, they have a Rose Bowl history and all that. And, it's kind of a not even a strength-on-strength matchup. How does USC slow down Michigan's running game with Justin Payne? And how does Michigan's secondary slow down Jaden Mayava, who has the highest passer rating in the Big Ten? I think you're going to get a game that's a lot like last year's 27-24. I mean, I thought it was awesome, and I think it's going to be a good game again Saturday.
Bill Bender's with us from the Sporting News. Bill, I want to ask you a thought on Oklahoma, Texas this weekend, because that's obviously another big one. It's a name on the marquee type game, even though Texas is really struggling, and we don't know what's going to happen with John Mateer's hand. What do you sense from a national perspective might be on the line for those two teams this weekend?
I've learned through watching it that picking that game is impossible.
Yeah,
I made the comparison today that it's kind of like playing a video game against your best friend. You're going to do anything and everything to beat them, even if it means you get out of what you normally do. It's such a fun game to watch. I think the Arch Manning criticism backlash this week has been a little out of control, honestly. I've got a piece on that at Sporting News. I talked to Kirk Bowles about it. He's the best person to talk to about Texas. What if he wins? Are we back on the Arch Manning bandwagon, knowing that Oklahoma has a top 10 defense? I don't know if Mateer will play. I think he'll try to, but it's on Oklahoma. I mean, if you can't grip a football, you can't play.
Oklahoma's been so impressive when they've been at their best, but they've been a little out of sight, out of mind, right? They had a bye. They played Kent State. Mateer's been hurt. Does kind of feel like they're lurking. I'll ask you the same question about Alabama and Missouri, because it feels like we're going to find out a lot about Mizzou this weekend.
For sure. I mean, it's biggest. I'm trying to think of a bigger game for them since those years they were in the Big 12 and would play Oklahoma with Macklin and Chase Daniel. But it's a huge game, huge statement. I mean, last week kind of showed me that Alabama still has the largest target on their back in the conference in a lot of ways. Like Vanderbilt wanted to beat them. Missouri's going to want to beat them. Tennessee's going to want to beat them next week. And Kalen's done a great 180 from week one. Ty Simpson might be the best quarterback in the conference. And Jam Miller adds some physicality to their game. And Missouri struggled with that last year, but with Prabula and Ahmad Hardy's one of those guys that talked about a lot more. He's one of the best running backs, if not the best running back in the country.
Bill Bender, just a couple of more for you. As we hit the halfway point of the college football season, which is weird to say, we do know objectively that there's going to be a G6, I guess we call it now, team that's going to make the college football playoff. If I asked you to pick who you think that's going to be today, what would you say?
Probably Memphis. And I know that's like, hey, why don't you just take the top team? That's lazy. But they've got the tough games at home. American race. And the American race is captivating because I'm going to sit up and watch North Texas and South Florida on Friday. North Texas is unbeaten. Navy and Tulane and, I'm leaving somebody out. Who am I leaving out in the American? They've got so many good teams that we're going to find out. And then UNLV has a chance out west with Dan Mullen. And how much will his stock go up with some of these SEC schools looking for coaches if Dan Mullen can win at UNLV and take them to the playoff?
South Florida's probably the other team in the American. Was that who you were thinking of?
They played North Texas Friday night on the road with that defense, and that's a great strength-on-strength matchup. So you have a lot of options within that conference, but I know Memphis plays their tough games at home, and they have that Arkansas win in their back pocket. Ryan Silverfield's done a fantastic job.
He is Bill Bender of the Sporting News. Always love to talk a little big picture college football. I can't let you get out of here without at least a thought on LSU, who got as high as number 4 in the country. They looked awful against Ole Miss, and they had an extra week to stew about it. So I know the temperature's cooled a lot. What do you think about the Tigers through a month?
Well, I'll ask you back. Has the temperature cooled off too much? Because they still have an elite defense. They had a week to get some guys healthy. Caden Durham, and they fought back in that Ole Miss game a little bit. I just think Trinidad Chambliss came out of nowhere and is very good. So if you look at LSU, a lot of ranked teams in the back half of the season, how do they manage that? And it's not bad to bring a pretty darn good defense with you in all these SEC slugfests. So I'm not as far off on them. I actually think one of the turning point games, believe it or not, I want to see what they do with Vanderbilt next week.
No doubt.
And I think that could turn this thing one way or the other.
I'll be there in Nashville. Tigers win their next 3. South Carolina, Vanderbilt, Texas A&M. They go into their second bye needing really to go 3-1 in November, which effectively means they'd have to split Oklahoma and Alabama. And if they did that, they're 10-2 and in the playoff. But, man, as you and I both know, there are landmines everywhere, which is why college football is a lot of fun. You want to read about it, of course, you do so over at the Sporting News. He's Bill Bender. Good enough to join us for a couple of minutes. Always appreciate it, Bill. Thanks for the time, man.
Hey, anytime. Thanks so much for having me. Take care. Of
course, it's our pleasure. It is After Further Review. We're brought to you by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com, lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Y'all check them out online if you want to, because you could search a lot of their inventory online, but you could also go to the website at lmfj.com, lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, and you can schedule your appointment there with one of their associates, and it's so worth doing because, look, you might feel uncomfortable walking into a jewelry store. And I get it. Like, guys, we don't do this all the time. We don't go jewelry shopping all the time. So it's not something that is very familiar and native to us. But at Lee Michaels, it's why they've done a brilliant job of creating and customizing what they term the Lee Michaels experience. You walk in, they'll give you something cold to drink, chocolates on a tray. You want to try on 1,000 rings, try on 1,000 different rings. If you're not prepared to buy something today, okay, they're not going to be pushy. They want you to be thrilled, her to be thrilled, you to be a hero, you to feel so great about what purchase you make within your budget. They'll work with you. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, and they've got 10 locations. And because they have 10 locations, they have the purchasing power to be able to offer you a great selection and great prices. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. LMFJ.com. LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Okay, y'all. Glad you're hanging out with us here. Lee Sterling in 15 minutes, his best bet. You might want to sharpen your pencil or get your DraftKings app out because Lee was 4-1 again last week. He is on a heater here in this past month. So Lee Sterling's best bets are coming up here in 15 minutes from right now. And Jay Phillips in 45 minutes. We'll get a closer look at the Gamecocks from our buddy up there in Columbia, South Carolina. Stay with us here. It's AFR.
After further review.
Okay, we're brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, and I tell you about River City's 1 Hour Air every day and a half for years. But this is one of those really important times because it's as the seasons change is when River City's 1 Hour Air has their seasonal maintenance. And so this is a really important one, right? So at River City's 1 Hour Air, now that the weather is going to be changing soon and getting cooler, you're going to be turning on that heater before you turn on your heater, before that first cold snap. Call River City's 1 Hour Air. Have them come out for the heater safety check. This is so important, not just to make sure that your heater is running efficiently to save you money and so the unit lasts, but it's a safety check as well. Your heater is dormant. It can collect dust. You want to make sure before you crank that thing on that it's safe to operate during the cold weather months. You know, there are unfortunate stories we hear every year. I'm not trying to scare you, but about problems with heaters that cause problems at homes. Knock that out now. River City's 1 Hour Air.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
All right, we're rolling along here. Halfway home on a Thursday edition of AFR presented by Decision Critical. I mean, how about this? Moms and dads, you're home with a new baby, you need to sleep. How about you call Decision Critical? They can come and they can sit with your child and take the overnight so you can get some sleep, even if it's 1 day a week or a couple of days a week. Everything can be a la carte, and they can do a la carte. They can service certain packages based on the amount of time. They are completely a concierge service at your service and disposal. Listen, last week on Monday, Drew needed blood labs. And many of you know a lot of the journey we've had with Drew, and he's a very hard stick, and you can't explain to him to sit still. And so we had nurses from Decision Critical come to our home at 9 o'clock at night last Monday when he had gotten his sort of sleepy meds to draw up his blood labs. And Shelly was so amazing. Like, they asked the lab to stay open late, and so she ran out of her house, sprinted out to get to the lab in time to get the blood spun and all the labs run. I mean, they're amazing. It is the best of the best when it comes to nursing. If it's, from birth to end of life care, maybe you get that critical diagnosis, Decision Critical. They're amazing, and they're all over Louisiana. They're formed in Baton Rouge, really a business that pivoted in COVID, as you might imagine, and has become such an incredible resource in all of the state of Louisiana. So no matter what corner of the state you're in, and they're about to open in Dallas soon, excited about that, but concierge nursing, Decision Critical Concierge Nursing, decisioncriticalbr.com, decisioncriticalbr.com, our title sponsor here on Thursdays. Okay, every week, Muse, Paulie, and I give you 3 things we're watching in the football weekend. Let's do it.
Here's what we're watching this football weekend.
Okay, Matthew Tarleton Musso, start us off.
No, that's not it. But I will start us off. We're going to start at the Texas State Fair. Red River Shootout.
No, football, Muse. We want football.
Yeah, the Red River Shootout
candy?
At the Texas State Fair. Oklahoma and Texas. I mean, we just had Bill on. He hit it around the head. No one knows what's going to happen in this game. The line movement has been insane.
Well, that's because of Mateer.
I know, but it's open Texas, flipped to Oklahoma with all the reports about Mateer pushing to play. Looking at it right now, it's back to Texas, 1.5.
Mateer ain't going to play.
So Mateer is probably not going to play. Shocking. He had surgery, almost 17 days ago. But anyway, I look at the total in this game, though, man. I think Texas' defense wants a bounce-back performance. We know Oklahoma's got a good defense. 44.5, backup quarterback for OU. Maybe the under's the play here, but it's going to be fascinating for a lot of reasons, including John Mateer's status and what happens with Arch Manning.
I'm watching Ohio State and Illinois. It's a ranked-on-ranked Big Ten battle. Illinois bounced back from an embarrassing loss to Indiana 3 weeks ago with wins over USC and Purdue. Ohio State, they're outscoring their opponents 187-25. Julian Sayin, he leads the nation in completion percentage with 80.2. And Luke Altmaier, he has 12 touchdown passes, no interceptions on the season. Ohio State currently a 14.5-point favorite.
Battle of the first and second picks overall in the draft from a year ago. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, part of a Monday Night Football doubleheader. I really like this Monday Night Football doubleheader. I like this. Give me more. Give me more football. Yes, give me more football. So, by the way, do you remember what happened when these two played last year? Jaden Daniels hit the 52-yard Hail Mary to walk it off for Washington. Daniels back last week. The Commanders went and beat the Chargers in L.A. Maybe the most impressive part of that is the 10 points the Commanders allowed. Big opportunity here for JD5 and the number 2 overall pick, JD5, to try to get 2 in a row against the number 1 overall pick, Caleb Williams.
Rams and Ravens, noon on Sunday. Rams in a highly contested division out there in the NFC West. A 3-2 team, arguably could be 5-0, an overtime loss and a loss on a blocked field goal. Then there's the Ravens. No Lamar Jackson. He missed practice again on Wednesday. Still dealing with it. The Ravens 1-4. This is their last stand, although there were 2 reputable books that still had them the favorite to win the AFC North. If they're going to get that done, they got to take down the Rams on Sunday.
The AFC North stinks.
That's true. It's not very good.
It stinks.
Bengals Packers. The ageless wonder Joe Flacco makes his Cincinnati debut.
Again, the AFC North.
Hey, Joe Flacco's elite.
Joe Flacco's the answer.
He's elite
in Cincinnati. Jeez,
definitely ain't Jake Browning.
He was benched in Cleveland for Dylan Gabriel. Jake Browning's now getting benched for Joe Flacco. Can he get the Bengals back in the playoff hunt after a 3-game losing streak?
No, he cannot. 2 teams that are in the playoff hunt, however, are the Chiefs and the Lions. And these are 2 teams that are going to play on Sunday Night Football. The Chiefs, they're 2-3, and a devastating loss in prime time where Trevor Lawrence fell down.
You can't touch him down?
He fell down, and it's almost like he was just going to pout that he fell down. He's like, oh, I can get up. He gets up and runs. It's like, what did I watch? What? Especially since I had dueling bets there. My teaser bet hit, but Chiefs -3.5 or maybe -4 ended up busting on that. Trevor Lawrence falling down. Idiot. Anyway, this is a big one. Obviously, Chiefs are 2-3. They need to get in gear. Lions are 4-1. They've recovered since their season opened, an embarrassing loss.
Sneaky game in the Big 12 Saturday night. Kansas visits number 9, Texas Tech. I love the Red Raiders defense, man. I think that really is the cornerstone of their team. This is going to be a test, though, facing an athlete like Jalen Daniels at quarterback. I'm not going to say that Kansas is some great team, but they're good. And this is a test for that Texas Tech defense. I'm excited to watch it because I really like the Red Raiders.
You're not watching that game. Be honest.
I could have multi-view on.
You're not watching that.
I think it's a very sneaky game.
All right, go, Paul. We gotta go. That's not
Seahawks, Jaguars. You mentioned the sneakiness of Trevor Lawrence. The Jaguars coming off that thrilling win against the Chiefs. The Seahawks coming off the walk-off loss to the Bucs. The Jaguars have a chance to improve to 5-1 with a win here.
And the last 2 weeks, I've given you Bama, Georgia, Bama, Vanderbilt. So I'm not giving you Alabama, Missouri.
Oh, I saved it for you.
I'm just going to ignore it. Nope. I'm going to give you the top 10 matchup that has no business in college football or in any reality being a top 10 matchup. But my God, 7th-ranked Indiana at 3rd-ranked Oregon. And this is the 2:30 CBS game, which means our old friends Gary Danielson and Brad Nessler will be on the call. So, you can watch Oklahoma, Texas, or you can watch Brad and Gary call that top 10 clash with Indiana and Oregon.
I mean, you can watch Oklahoma and Texas and then catch the second half of Indiana and Oregon because this is still going to be going on.
They'll right as the bands are taking it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, that's what we're watching this football weekend. We're brought to you by Arco Power Systems, ARCCO. Arco.com, Arco.com. If you can't remember it, well, then remember it anyway. Arco.com, ARCCO, Arco Power Systems. These are industrial generators. Industrial Generac generator power. These are not generators for your home. These are generators for your business. What kind of business? Any kind of business. Or maybe you got a big event. Like coming up in a few weeks, I got that big Boots on the Bayou out at Lamar Dixon, the big concert. Well, you need big generator powers to power the stage and the portable bathrooms and all that stuff. What do? You call Arco Power Systems. ARCCO, Arco.com. These are generators built for businesses. At Arco Power Systems, they say our business is your business. They serve nursing homes, grocery chains, hospitals, hotels, banks, chemical plants, gas stations, universities, governments, municipalities, literally any business that when the power goes out, you need a solution, you need Arco Power Systems. And they've got offices everywhere. West to San Antonio, east to Mobile, north to Little Rock, Austin, Dallas, Houston. They're everywhere. It's Arco Power Systems. Arco.com, Arco.com, ARCCO, Arco.com. Arco.
Polo.
What do you think? You think it'll fit?
I kind of like it.
Arco.
Polo.
All right, we'll grab a quick break. Lee Sterling's going to join us next. Lee Sterling 4-1 last week on his best bet. So what do you do for an encore? Well, he's already answered that. It's been pretty good this year. Lee Sterling next. It's AFR.
After further review.
All right, you're ready to sell your home? Or maybe you're looking to buy a home? Got to call my guy, Darren James. 335-7666. 335-7666. 335-7666 or agent225.com. You see, Darren, on the Wall Street Journal's list of the top 1% of realtors in America, gets to the closing table more often than any other realtor in the state of Louisiana. He's number one in Louisiana on the volume side. Nobody gets to the closing table more than Darren James. So if you need to sell your home, you need the best, you need Darren James. And if you're thinking about buying a home or selling your home, first you got to know how much your home's worth. So go to agent225.com, newly redesigned website. There's an awesome tool that's totally free. Awesome tool. It's totally free. It's the home value tool. Just go to agent225.com, agent225.com, hit the home value tab. They use local market data. It'll tell you exactly how much your home is worth.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalvr.com.
Place your bets, gentlemen.
It's time to head to the window.
Don't gamble it all in one place.
This is Lee Sterling's Best Bets, brought to you by Paramount Sports.
All right, let's do it. 4-1 a week ago. We were tallying it up, 14-6 his last 4 weeks. So a little bit of a heater here for Lee Sterling. How are you, Lee?
I'm good. Let me ask you a question. If you were Joe Flacco, you got traded, or they ask you, do you want to be traded? Could you go to a third team in the same division?
If the check don't bounce.
I guess.
Better chance of winning Cincinnati than in Cleveland. I'd rather throw to Jamar Chase, I guess.
Oh, I don't know.
T. Higgins.
I don't know about that offensive line, though.
I get it. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins will erase a lot of that for you, though.
True.
Hey, man, it's this first one is fascinating, and we were talking about it in the break before you came on, Lee. Texas OU, there's just been a ton of line movement. I think it all centers around John Mateer. So how do you make sense out of this?
All right, so if Mateer plays, I would favor OU, and I would even lay 2.5 points. If he doesn't play, believe it or not, I like Texas. I mean, the offensive line should be better than what they've been. I mean, they were awful against Florida. They didn't even compete here. What's strange is Texas is 2-7 against the spread since last year's SEC championship game, and one of those 2 wins was a half-point win. So I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. The craziest thing about the Red River shootouts, and I've probably been to 12 or 13 of them, whatever you expect, it's complete opposite. I'm going to predict Texas 20-17. I will not be involved in this game at all.
Okay.
But it wouldn't shock me if it's 49-46 in double overtime.
That would be so on brand. Hey, that's where Dicker the kicker made his legacy, was in the Red River game.
That's right.
Bama has been tested the past couple of weeks, and they've come up smelling like roses. Now they're going to go on the road to Mizzou. They're a 3-point favorite. Mizzou's look great. They look great on paper. Lee just hadn't played anybody, so this will be pretty telling for both those teams. Bama laying 3 at Mizzou.
So I think the one area that Alabama can hurt Mizzou is the cornerbacks and the secondary. And if he has time to throw the ball, Simpson, he's going to do some damage. If I was Mizzou, I would change up my coverages, mainly play zone, not let anyone get behind me. I think Mizzou can run the football on them. Now, Bo Prabella is probably the same kind of quarterback than we've seen them face, obviously, with Diego Pavia, but they have not faced anyone like Ahmad Hardy, who the Louisiana Monroe transfer, who's gained 730 yards, 9 touchdowns, and run for almost 7 yards a carry. The last 2 weeks, and trust me, those were tough, hard-fought games against Georgia on the road and also at home against Vandy. The top running backs, they don't even have half what Hardy has. So I think this is Missouri's circle game where they lost 34-0. Last year, Cook was playing on one leg. I think the Tide's not going to roll here. Right game favored, Missouri outright 34-30.
Your lips to God's ears. Let it happen.
I know.
The Aggies look pretty good, man, in the second half against Mississippi State. Now they're at home again, 7.5-point favorite over Florida. So what do we make of Florida from a week ago, Lee? Fool's gold, or may they find something there behind Billy?
I think they found something. And one of the main reasons is Dallas Wilson. I told everyone about this kid. This kid's something special. Watch him in the spring game. He is everything and more than what they thought. Watch the tape. Go to YouTube last 2 weeks and watch Marcel Reed. On 5 and 7 step dropbacks, he's taken an extra 2 steps. So he's developed a really bad habit, and he's distributing the ball too late. And you know what they say, when you throw the ball too late, 2 out of 3 things that happen are bad: incomplete or it gets intercepted. That's why he only has 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions over the last 2 SEC games here. A&M is also 5-14 against the spread as a favorite. I think A&M wins 24-20, but Florida covers.
Okay. Close game.
Yep.
Lee Sterling with us, ParamountSports.com, ParamountSports.com. LSU and South Carolina both coming off of byes, Lee, and Tigers have had an extra week just to stew over that awful performance there in Oxford. It's a big number, man. LSU's laying 9.5 at home. How do they handle the Gamecocks coming in?
If they can't get it done this week and can't blow out South Carolina by double digits, I think this offense is never going to erupt. They're coming off of a bye, coming off of a loss, so you can be assured they're going to bring it. 4 of the 5 times, 23 points or less. I know South Carolina got robbed. I've heard it from every South Carolina fan all off season since that game last year. But even after those questionable calls, LSU is still 12-2 against the spread as an SEC home favorite. And I don't think Sellers is that good, and I don't like his weapons here. LSU 31-17. They finally beat a decent team by double digits.
Would love to see it, man. They need that injection of life in the offense in the worst way. We'll see if they get it coming off the bye. You got a thought on look, Saints got their first win. You got a thought on the Saints hosting the Pats this weekend?
I do, and I thought the Pats would keep it close on Sunday night at Buffalo, but they just went ahead and won outright, even on back-to-back travel. I like their chances here. They've covered 5 of 7 on the road, including 2-0 this year. This is a nice letdown spot for the Saints. Hate to say it, but in that win, you know, they get the 2 interceptions, get the fumble return for the touchdown. I just think that Drake May starting to living up to that hype, and the defense ranked 24th in points allowed, but even that's deceiving. The average almost 20 points allowed in the first half, 7.2 in the second half, when most teams call off the Dogs. Patriots 28-17.
Nobody here has got any delusions of grandeur with the New Orleans Saints. We understand what they are, so it's all good. Georgia-Auburn's the game of the week. You giving that out on the phone line of the website?
Yep, love the game. Probably the strongest game I've got this week. First 10 callers that call 800-400-9741. I will give it to them for free. 800-400-9741. And what a run it's been. We've gone 9-5. 9-4 and 10-1 the last 3 weekends, Saturday and Sunday. We've actually gone 5-0 3 straight Sundays. You want to try our 5 games on Sunday? 15-0 run, $55 for 5 top selections. They're ready to go now. You want to try us out through the end of the month, and we've got football every day now, every day through the end of November. You want to try us out through October 31st? We don't call it October. Call it Locktober. Just $297 with coupon code SAVE200. ParamountSports.com.
SAVE200 is the coupon code. SAVE200 over at ParamountSports.com. We'll do it again next Thursday. Thanks, Lee. Good luck.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Be well. We're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, SouthPointVW.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at SouthPointVW.com. Weekend's almost here, so shop online, then go test drive your vehicle and drive it off the lot at South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland. They're Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer, and I'll tell you the thing for me that gives me the most peace of mind. Look, I love to drive the Volkswagens. They're fun. We get great deals on them, all that sort of stuff. But it's the safety features. Every time I put Drew in his car seat, I know I'm driving one of the safest vehicles on the road, and you could have that peace of mind as well. SouthPointVW.com. SouthPointVW.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? All right, Saints injury report is out. We'll kick off hour number 3 next.
AFR.
Brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Energy-efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank vinyl siding. They do it all. They do it better than anyone at Relief Windows. So check them out online at ReliefWindows.com. You can start there. Even if you want to schedule your consultation over at the showroom, go to the website, hit the button at the top where you can schedule your consult, and then you can go in and meet one of their associates. One of the great things about going into the showroom there at Relief Windows, by the way, the same designer that designed the LSU football operations building designed the Relief Windows showroom. It's awesome. But anyway, they have like 3D modeling where you can see, like if you're visual like me, and you don't want to just look at a sample of a color or a window or a door, you see what it would look like on your home. They can build a 3D model to show you what those windows, doors, siding, colors would look like on your actual home. Check them out, ReliefWindows.com, ReliefWindows.com. Or call them at 288-8138. It's Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com.